Welcome to the Bleep Bulimia podcast with guest Benjamin, the Dream Wizard, on his handwriting episode 4.
So, but right down, I wanted to get to my signature before we forget. It says to your signature, it shows that you place equal value on your first and second name and have a healthy ego. So how does that work?
Okay, so first of all, you have a very the healthy ego
I signed the bottom of the page.
Big. It's big. Like
It's
I
big
mean,
enough.
I know that I'm gonna try and post this on but this is for
there you
people
go.
who
Yeah.
want to. There. Okay.
And I tried to do a variety
the B
of
and the O are large.
huge.
Right. So that's a good self-esteem. That's a good ego, positive ego. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. And they're both the same size. So first and last name, equally important to you. Okay. The thing is, though, is where I'm saying that you've got unfinished business. And if you even look there, same thing. You've got both big. But look at the end. It drags.
It just kind of squiggles out.
There's unfinished business.
Okay. Now, so I put four samples on there. Now, this is how I would write my name out if I was trying to make it legible, each letter. And then I went to the quick signatures in a variety of styles. Most of the things I sign, say I'm at work and I have to sign a medication count or something like that, I would sign it in the more legible form. So it doesn't end up actually being a signature as much as I simply write my name. What I imagined was when I was
so are you talking about this? Okay, so when you're signing, are you talking about the top one?
The top one is more when I'm like putting my quote unquote signature to say an official document or something. I would more sign it that way. Yeah, I try and make it more legible. I'm like, and you can see it is me who has written my name. Yeah, that's what I get. What I get more to.
And if you made that one as big and beautiful, that's more for success. So people who can read your signature. So let's say you're signing a book or whatever.
That's what I thought of when I was
legible. People will trust you more than if it's not like your other two. That's not.
Yeah, there's two of them there that are more like you can't even tell. It's almost like just initials and squiggles. What I did on those bottom three was and I remember doing this as I was writing it out. I said, let's sign this as if I've got 500 books to sign at a book signing at Barnes and Noble. And I just need to get through them as quickly as possible. Eventually I'm going to stop being pretty and let's just get this done. And I'm going to sign it out as fast as I can.
Which is what a lot of authors do. Yeah.
Yep. And then you try and develop a distinctive style, so it's recognizable. You would be
better off signing just your name, Benjamin, where they can actually read it.
Okay.
Benjamin D, like with your big D, but because people can see the name.
Gotcha.
And I know
trying to hide
sounds,
anything. Yeah.
Right. And that's a known fact that people will trust somebody who sees the signature, regardless. I sign mine all out and it's really long, Lorian Campbell. And then the other thing too, I like though the ending though, but I do like those. This one's kind of a little bit more legible.
You can tell there's supposed to be a J in there.
As a Benjamin, right? Benjamin, and then the D, and with your line across, that's obviously something that's about you.
Gotcha. Yeah.
About your.
There's also
the
you notice that.
I used to do a signature one. Yeah.
Oh, go
teaching people how to sign their name for success, signature for success.
Well, I did want to point this out too. Is there's little what looks like one of them looks like a letter Y, and the other one looks like a number 2, and the other one kind of looks like a number 2. Those are supposed to be.
Those. What are those?
Those are supposed to be a smiley face, and I've gotten to the point where I just kind of, and it doesn't look like a smiley face at all. It's like a dot the I usually dot the I on my. Well, I didn't do it. I didn't dot the J, but I did dot the I. Yeah, usually dot the J and the I if I'm doing like trying to do a formal signature.
It gives you a like seriously, people will wonder what it is.
Yeah, like what is that mysterious symbol? Yeah, maybe there's a part of my psychology that likes being a little mysterious. And I also
actually the first one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say,
cool.
What does it mean in the canon of handwriting analysis to have a equal value on first and last name? Does that speak to your how you value yourself individually and your family?
Yourself and your roots. You're proud of your parents' roots, and you're proud of yourself.
Okay, good deal. That's kind of where I was going with it. Yeah.
If let's say you had the big B and really it would mean that you're kind of hiding away from your roots. If you had
We're not very proud of your family.
B and a really big D, then you'd be saying my family is more important than I am. If you have a balance, it's the best ever. It means that you've got a really nice balanced life between your upbringing and who you are.
I try to I think that might be a guiding principle or feature in a way of my life, is that trying to establish proper balance, trying to balance things out, balance the scales, balance activity, balance my views of something, and not to be too extreme. Now, some things I believe, absolutely, and that's as extreme as you can get, is it is absolutely one thing and not the other. But mostly, I think most things in life are a matter of striking that proper balance. So having a healthy respect for yourself and for where you came from and your family, and valuing your parents and what they did for you, and that.
Yeah. And I know that my Lorianne is excellent. I definitely have my L the same size as my C. I'm proud of my Campbell world.
Yeah. And then having the healthy ego thing might also go back to the self-esteem thing. So I might be balancing my ego with the moderate self-assessment, I think is where it's at. It's like, if I don't, if I let myself think I'm better than I am, it'll get out of control. This is a problem. But by the same token, it means don't worry about my my self-assessment being, I'm okay. My ego's plenty big.
Because your ego's plenty big. And ego
in some
people,
ways, yeah.
and I want the listeners to hear this. Some people say, okay, if you're egotistical, that's not good. And there's other signs in handwriting that we can find that in your pride, where the D line goes way high up. You're too prideful. That makes your ego a negative ego. But having a positive ego, along with self-esteem, but if you're happy at 5, that's good too. And a reasonable self-confidence, very important, so that when you look in the mirror, you're going, hey, you know what? I'm pretty cool. I love me. And saying that is okay. I can tell myself I love me. So my ego is healthy. There's ego healthy. There's overblown ego, which is not that the world don't like them, man. Like they just don't. They don't like people with bigger egos than the person should have. But a healthy ego is important to self-love.
Yeah, and it's that balance as well too. Well, and then we get the term ego broadly, our modern understanding of it. I mean, I think ego was actually a character from Greek mythology. I can't remember which one, and that's where Freud got it. And now we kind of refer to the Freudian analytical conception of ego. So you've got the id, the ego, and the superego. You've got the id being raw animal instinct in that way, our drives and passions, the things that we can't even put words to. And then we've got the ego, which is kind of our sense of self that is informed by a combination of interactions with the id and the superego. And the superego is kind of society, parents, the authority figures of all kinds, like medical authorities, philosophical, religious authorities, where we get our concept of right and wrong and how we're supposed to interact with the world. So we're always in tension. The ego is basically in tension between our primal drives and socialization. And it's kind of his concept. So you will have an ego. You are your ego in some ways, and it needs to be the right size and shape and function for the situation. It needs to be in proper tension between. You can't ignore your drives. We die. We don't reproduce. We can't be just a slave to society either, because we got to be an individual. And this is another funny thing about, collective, the idea of society. What am I trying to say? The idea that we are a social animal, but we each have individual value as well. So There can't be the individual doesn't matter. It's all about whether the collective survives, and it can't be the individual. Man is an island. The individual at all costs, even if it destroys society. There has to be that proper balance, or it gets out of control, and it doesn't work for anybody. Long story short on that one. And those were all my thoughts. Given the ego. So you're right.
By the way, to your ego, it's funny because I have a friend at work, and of course I get everybody to sign their stuff. And I went to one guy, go, hey man, stop crossing over your name backwards. That's not good stuff. And he said he only started doing that since he moved to Canada because he's from Costa Rica. And he said, I used to sign my name more open, and the underscore was under. And I said, but it's still going backwards. You're still having problems with your past, but now you're crossing out your whole name, which is showing that you don't. And he said, you're right. And then I have another, but there's one girl and she signs it similar to you, like the two big like letters, but you can't read anything, but she just goes like this and she's excited. And I'm telling you, I mean, she might be a little bit like somewhat. She lives kind of a similar life to me. She lives with her mother. Her father passed away. She has a basement apartment in the house of her mom. It's the same thing. And she goes home and she does her thing. But I thought, you know what? If I was going to hang out with anyone, I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
People with those kind of egos, if they really like someone, when you get together with them, they're fun.
They're very expressive and supportive, and they care about you having a good time too.
Fun to be around, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not like the little person who signs their name like this. No.
Yeah,
they would be fun to go and sit with to talk about computer programming.
Mm-hmm.
Accounting.
Be a very, very good step-by-step tutorial instructor.
If you need somebody to help you out, definitely. But if you want to have fun, go with the people who are like with the big signatures. And anyway, that's just all fun. Everybody's great, but I'm just saying, if you're trying to find your equal to, handwriting can do that. You can actually find your, favorite person. I mean, you just, instead of just going on dating sites, when you do, you make sure that you do a handwriting analysis so you know exactly whether they're compatible with you or not.
Yeah, for sure. And then, the other thing on here that I didn't want it. So it also shows that you have unfinished business. Now, here's an interesting thing that will very often occur in therapy sessions. And I think this was originally discovered back around Freud's time. Is he would call it resistance. The idea that you'll hit upon something, you'll say something the person is uncomfortable with, and they will change the subject. Now, it might have seemed like I was doing that. Oh, let's get away from that. I don't want to talk about that. But I'm bringing it back on purpose because I was aware. Did I do that on purpose or no? Often I just follow my train of thought and I've got a million things to say, and okay, I'll get to that eventually. But I like to challenge myself. This is the self-knowledge part of acquiring knowledge. Like, okay, I don't like the idea that I have unfinished business. That doesn't sound good. So let's actually look at that on purpose and not avoid it. I would say, just broad strokes, I'm not a fan of the past, my own past. I don't live in the past. I don't have great nostalgia. Childhood was not the best time of my life. Nobody's fault. My parents were, I wasn't abused. I didn't have a bunch of tragedies. I just didn't like it. I think now is one of the best times of my life. And I think things are getting better. I have more of a future, now to future orientation. I want to know where I'm going. I want to know what's next. So, and then that brings to mind the kind of, I don't know if it's a Buddhist or broadly just Asian conception of, the person who lives in the future is anxious. The person who lives in the past is depressed. It's kind of that broad strokes idea of it. Things were better yesterday, and that means tomorrow is not going to be as good as today. That's kind of the depression side of things. And anxiety of living in the future is I'm always worried about what could go wrong or making sure things don't go wrong. That is me specifically, but those are some broad strokes, things that people have said about those general orientations. I do have more of a focus of trying to live in the now, but definitely if I had to say, forced choice, which was better for you, remembering the past or looking forward to the future, I'd say definitely future. So that might feed into the conception of unfinished business, maybe, or trailing off the back end of my last name. I don't know what you might have to say about any of that.
Yeah, that would be, it sounds like that. I mean, I don't have that, but I've seen a lot of people sign like that. And I mean, I have to watch who I talk to. If I know there's a client that I have that I really like and they're okay with me, then I tell them, hey, I'm a handwriting analyst, and you might want to stop scratching over your name. It's self-abuse. It's self degradation when you go and you sign your name and cross over it. I mean, the name is the most important thing for most people, right? Like, I'm proud of my name. I don't know if you are, but I am. It's mine.
Yeah.
It's given to you. So people who do that, it's a self-degradation and something from the past, because they're going backwards.
So this would
And
be
they have to deal with that, whether it's through whether it's through therapy, or because there's more to it than I think I could even do with handwriting when somebody does that.
Sure.
Like, that's awful. And I watch that and I see it and I'm going, oh. And like I said, my colleague said to me, yeah, he never did, but he still went the back line. Anything that's got a back line on it, there's something in your past you've got to deal with. And your D's have a little bit of that.
Okay.
And you may not know what it is. That's the thing. And I can't tell you, but there's definitely a little something in your D.
Well, yeah, and sometimes all you can do is tell people, point them in the right direction and say, if you look over there, you might see something. And there is something there, maybe, and neither one of us may know what it is or ever figure it out, but that doesn't mean it isn't there.
Or try just writing your D's with a straight line down in that, and whatever it is may go away. I don't. But anyway.
Yeah, well, this kind of brings us to angle and tilt. This is okay, slant to the handwriting, 125 to 135. Now, I tend to write, and you may have seen, in the videos, I tend to write with the paper at almost 45-degree angle, and I write upwards away from myself. If a paper were completely oriented in front of me and I couldn't move it, number one, it would need to be over here so that I wasn't writing. So I would have to write over here.
You can write. I've done that before too,
but I almost always tilt the paper as well. So I don't know if that is okay. Everybody does, so that's actually not a factor, or
no.
Come on. Go ahead.
Okay, his cat's trying to write for us. She wants her handwriting now.
Take a pen. Take the pen. Let's put
wouldn't
a pen.
that be weird?
I'm gonna try to catch it in her fur. I can't. It won't. It doesn't work.
Oh, funny. No, that won't make a difference.
Okay.
You basically there's an angle that you find, and it was difficult with you too, because I had to find, there's certain letters you can get the angle on and certain ones you can't. You can't on a T, obviously. You can do on an M.
Yeah.
You can do it on a W. And then you find the angle, and this definitely is important, that you get more than one. So I'm laughing, kids, because here we are with a cat that won't leave me alone again.
Right.
He's so cute. Okay, so the slant is based on those, and they're not easy to find. I found out that ultimately 5 out of 7 of yours were 125 to 135 angle.
Okay.
So I felt that I was comfortable. Now, this list that I gave you is an overview of possibilities of people with those angles. So I'm not going to say you're 100% of any one of those, but that's a personality overview, character traits overview of people who write in that angle.
And then what is the in the handwriting glossary, ambivert? What does that mean?
Ambivert, you can write with your right and left.
Oh.
If you've tried.
Well, I think I can. I mean, I think anybody can. I don't want to say that like dismissively.
Yeah, but some, I know when I write with my left hand, it's really like bad. Scribble BB.
Yeah. Now, one thing that made me think of is I've played drums for years, and so I have a kind of equal facility.
It's like a left brain, right brain. Left brain, right brain, right? So, because if somebody, usually they say that people who write with the right hand is left brain, the ones who write with their left hand is like they're opposites, right, to your brain.
Gotcha.
But you're able to work both sides.
I would say it's probably true. And I'm always, seek balance of heart and mind, that kind of thing. Like I'm trying to balance emotion and rationality in that sense. So ambivert could cover a lot of ground.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing too, you were talking about where you can actually, be very creative, but you're also very process oriented when it comes to that.
Yeah,
I'm like
very
you that
structured
way. I
creativity.
have both that.
Yeah.
I have Excel spreadsheets watching everything, and yet I'm out there doing videos, but everything has to be a process for me too.
For sure.
So I get that.
And then when I saw the word outgoing, this thing came to mind is like, I love going with these associations. Why did I think that? I don't know. It's just the first thing that popped into my head. There's a group of people and we are awkwardly thrown together and someone's got to break the ice. That's going to be me. I'm going to be the guy to go, so I'm Ben. Hi, how's everybody doing? Because I'm not going to sit there in awkward silence. Now, there's nothing wrong with silence and it doesn't have to be awkward, but it is because of the nature of the situation. And I'll just be the guy to put himself out there and go, whatever. I don't, so what if I look stupid? Or so what if people think I'm, look at me. Like someone's got to say, oh, I was at my wife and I went to a musical cabaret in Portland, Oregon. This was 10 years ago. There's a gal named Storm Large who was so she is a singer in a band, and I don't know, 10, 15 years ago even, she was a fan of or a friend of this radio show my wife and I both listened to. Long story short, we went to go see her sing and dance and act in the musical cabaret. The lights came down, the song ended, the actors and dancers froze on the stage, and it was dead silence in the theater, and it went on and on. Everyone thought, oh, is this the end of the show? We're not sure. Are we going to start clapping and they're going to jump up and lights are going to come on? Was this just a pause? And it went on for almost a full minute. And I'm like, okay, this is the end of the show. And I started the clap. I was the first person to let's go. This is it. Because the poor actors are on stage going, oh my God, just start clapping so we can move, because they're frozen. They're holding themselves in these positions. I could see some of them starting to shake, and I'm like, this cannot continue. So I look at the word outgoing and I think I'm the guy in the theater who's going to start the clapping, because I'm going to make the call. Show's over. And there's the healthy ego thing. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I'll be the one who's embarrassed. Whatever.
For you.
Yeah.
Love that story.
Yeah. And that shows affection. I like to think I do. I've got my own unique style. I like people to feel comfortable.
And you've got a dog and a cat all over you all the time. So yes.
Yeah. Well, that's that physicality, that tactile thing. Some people are like, oh my God, get away from me. Quit rubbing on me. I'm like, I like it, just not on the papers. I need these. And then on there, I'd say expressive. Yeah. Well, and also what are some of the opposites of these? So outgoing would be more reserved.
Yeah. Okay. So in a slant, we're going to just quickly. So you've got yours, which, give me 1 second. I'm going to run away for a sec. Hold on.
Sure.
I'm getting it. This so I can
this is me acquiring. This is me acquiring knowledge. I'm getting an education in handwriting.
All right. Let me grab this. I'm still here. Okay. All righty. So we have you. So we have the FA writer, and that would be somebody who writes to the left.
Okay.
Those people hold everything in. Everything. And you never know when they're going to blow. Right? Because everything is just pushed down. Then you have your AB writer, which is up and down, and they're incredibly logical. They can still be fun, but they're very logical. Like they take logic to an extreme. Then we've got I believe you're the BC, which is the next over 125 to 135. And this is what we're talking. They're expressive yet logical. When you start getting to the CD, the DE, and the E, they become more and more emotional. So the response to emotion becomes further and further. So more sensitive, like if you have an E plus, somebody writes like this, like all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you even look at them the wrong way, they're going to start bawling their eyes out.
Okay. So it is, again, a balance on the spectrum between, properly emotional and properly rational, which we've
right.
also kind of established. Yeah, that's where I like to be.
So we would be showing something like this. There's the different scales that you would have. And so you would be you were more in the BC/CD, but you're not the AB. But you're not the DE or E, which is where the more emotional X that are. And this part over this side here, anybody on this side? Yeah. The further the slant left, the more they hold in, and they're
too much pressure.
They're holding in a heck of a lot of stuff. So you never know when they're going to just explode like a volcano.
Yeah. And then subject to appeals of the heart. I think so. I don't enjoy seeing people suffer. And so, if there's some argument to alleviating suffering, I'm going to tend to, that moves me. Maybe. And then I try to be logical. Maybe it moves me more than I should. Maybe I should be a little more analytical. And moderately moody. I don't switch on a dime, but sometimes I get in a mood and it's a little unpredictable. It's like
we talked about your little eyes there with the little irritability thing. So that would be your moderately moody.
Sometimes it's something other people do, and I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of irked. You're getting on my nerves. And sometimes it's just I think about things that are upsetting, and then I'm in a mood thinking about upsetting things. And sometimes we got to ponder upsetting things, and it's okay for things to be upsetting. But then I'm in a mood regarding something that's entirely in my head. Just a thought. It's just a thought. Now I'm having a mood.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit me at bleepbulimia.com.